Hello, a very good morning to you on a nice, bright, sunny spring day. I've got some lovely little bracelets for you today. We are using some very colourful beads, some lovely coloured rattail, and a lovely chunky heart kind of button clasp. So you might be able to see them down here. In fact, I'll bring it up for you. So they are nice, easy makes, nice summer makes, very bright, very, very colourful. I've got these lovely antique silver metal button clasps here, which has got 2 loops on the back. And we're going to be making these fairly adjustable. If you wish to, you can add extra little loops on the end there just to tie that button through. So it's going to give a double strand style to your bracelet, and they're just going to hook around like so. We've got these lovely dyed jade beads, and we have 3 lovely mixes of colours. Let me pop them in so you can see how they look. So you can wear these so your toggle is going to be at the front, and it's just going to go through that buttonhole here. Let's do one up so you can see how it looks. And we have those lovely dangling beads. So it's given a nice chunky look. You can make these as long or as, whatever size that you want. They would make a nice necklace as well, I suppose. We've got 3 lovely colours and 3 lovely rattail colours as well. So we have the woodpecker, which has got a mix of the bright pinks and greens and kind of purpley colours, and we've paired it with that coloured rattail, which I think is absolutely beautiful. That's what I'm going to demo for you today. We have the aqua with the blue rattail, again a lovely mix of different kind of teals and blues in there, and then we have the pinks for you as well. So they're a nice straightforward make. The only tools I would suggest are a little pair of scissors just to cut your rattail, and a long eye needle or big eye needle if you have one to hand. I tend to find that this gauge of the rattail fits through the holes in the beads quite easily. You can prep your thread if you want to, so you can coat it in a little bit of clear nail varnish and cut it into a point, but it's a good size. It's 0.6 that I'm using, so it should go through with ease. But if you want to speed yourself up, then use that big eye needle as well. I'm going to take you over to the website now so you can have a little look. And I'll say, of course, good morning to those that have just arrived with me. So good morning to Edward, good morning to Linda, Rachel's in, Carol's here, so is Shirley. Hello to Anastasia and Heather and Jan and Jean. Good morning to Camille. Hello to Joanne. Jean saying they're very pretty. Thank you, Jean. Hello to Elaine. And Heather saying she's loving them all. So we've got lots of lovely, friendly faces in today. And I'm hoping you're going to like these ones. So I'm going to take you straight over to totallybeads.co.uk, which is where you can get your hands on the kits if you want to make these exact bracelets with me. Head over into the video tutorial category. Hopefully you'll be able to see that nice and clearly. And if we scroll down, today is the Wendy Jade bracelets. Lovely sunny day today, so I think these colours will just continue that lovely sunny outlook. So here we have extra. If you want to buy extra rattail, you can click on here and you can see. This is a nice way of getting into things. If you want to choose a different colour, you might want to choose a different thickness. It's all there for you. You can see all those lovely, lovely colours. You get loads as well in there. So there's loads that you can choose from if you want to change your makeup slightly. Oh, I don't think I'm actually showing you that link, am I? Wait there, let me see if I can share that page in a little while for you. I'll continue on this. If you click on the jade as well, that'll take you to our jade beads, and then you can see here the colours we've got today. So each of the bracelets are £3.99. Lovely little deal for you. If you want to get them all, we're doing 3 for £10, which again, really good offer. So this is the aqua. I'll show you them in a little bit more form. So you can see I'm using the Rattail Cord, which is 0.6mm, the dyed jade beads and a button clasp. So you can have a little look how they sit. And of course what they look like when they're opened up as well. And you can scroll down and see that we're using the 6mm faceted rounds in the dyed jade. We've got that lovely antique silver metal connector. I think it's like a big button. It's got a dimpled heart and a little flower type star shape in the middle of it. And that's 19mm in size. It's a nice big chunky clasp. And then we've also got the Rattail, which is in baby blue, and that's a 0.6mm. So you don't need much to make these. I'm just going to cherry pick out the beads, really. I'd like to have a little bit of a colour match. You don't have to do that, but as you can see, I've kind of picked similar shades to echo on each side. This one is the lovely pink. So they're just £3.99 or 3 for 10. You can mix those. So if you want 3 of the pink, 3 of the woodpecker, 3 of the aqua, you can do that. You might want 2 of the woodpecker, 1 of the blue, aqua, whatever you prefer. You don't have to mix those colours if you want to do that multi-buy offer. They're the components down at the bottom. And then we have the lovely woodpecker. I love the fact it's called that. I think that's really sweet. I love the colours in this. You've got like zesty limes, bright pinks, emerald greens. You've got mauves and purples. Really lovely mix. And I might be able to share the screen where you can choose your different Rattail cords. So if we click on this one, no. If you click on the button, it'll take you to all the different mixes that we've got. So we've got lots of different Rattail cords in lots of different gauges. The one that I'm using here is the 0.6 and that fits lovely through the beads. But you can have a little play around if you want to have a little look at the different coloured jades that we've got. We have lots and lots of lovely dyed jade. We've got some in one called Blueberries, which is kind of pinks and kind of grey blue tones. We've got a gorgeous one called Coral Sea, which has got oranges and blues in it. We've got a Grapevine, which is lots of greens. We've got a Himalayan mix, which is more baby pinks and kind of like soda light blues. We've got one called Lavender Field, Ocean Blue, Spring Garden, Tapestry is lovely as well. That's got lots of yellows in it. Aqua Coral, Watermelon, Beach Blue, Carnival. We've got tons and tons and tons. So you can have a little look. If you want to add different colours in, then of course you absolutely can do that. Okay, back down on the mat we go. Let's see if we got somebody in having a birthday. Hello to Heather. Good morning to Jan. Hello to Camille. We have Pauline in as well. Hello to you on this lovely sunny morning. Yolanda's here. Hello. Thank you for joining me. Mina's in. Hello to you, love. Edward says, going to make one later. I'm back home from being out for my birthday. I hope you had a lovely birthday, Edward. Hello to Anne. Everyone's wishing you a happy birthday, Edward. Camille says, yeah, we're not getting to see those colours. I know, I can't share it for some reason, but if you just go onto the main page, under the Wendy bracelet, it's got 2 little buttons at the top. One says Rattail and the other is saying jade beads, so you can choose from them. Right, so let's get making. First of all, you just need to pick out what colour beads you'd like to use. I'm going to go for the woodpecker today, and I'm going to take my cord. I'm going to take about 60 centimetres, which is about 24 inches, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that over. So I'm just going to find the centre of the cord by bringing those 2 ends up together, and then I've got round about my centre here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thread my button on. So I'm going to take one side of the cord through that lovely large hole there, and the other one is going to run through there and bring that up to the center. Doesn't have to be exact, but there or thereabouts. So I've just got my cord running through that hole. I'm now just going to tie an overhand knot. So really straightforward. Make that loop and pull it through, and then pull that knot down so it's fairly close towards the bead. If the button clasp. If you want to get really precise, you can get your like a T-pin or your pliers in. Just make sure that it's sitting on the right side, and you can just pull that nice and close. What we want to make sure is that we have a nice tight knot, but we do allow for a little bit of movement. We want to be able to move that button essentially in and out, so we have room to attach it into the hole that we're making for the clasp later. So we've got two lovely long strands, and all I'm going to do is add my beads onto them. So as I say, if you want to, you can take a large eye needle. Tend to find if you gently push on both ends of the needle, it will open up the middle, or you can just get your tip of your nail through to open it up. So your big eye needle has got exactly what it says, a really large eye. Instead of having a teeny opening at the end, it allows you to put cord through, which is much thicker, and you can just thread that through. That'll just speed things up a little bit. You can add two on, whatever you want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, I like to add 29 beads onto each end, but it's entirely up to you how long you want to make it. But what I do is I sit with the beads. If you want to colour mix, then just lay them all out and start having a look at the ones that are matching. So they don't have to be the same. You don't have to colour match them. You can put them on random if you want, but I like the top to kind of match the bottom row. So all I've done is just picked out like the different shades in there. I'm going to go back for those purpley ones. I think we'll do a deeper green again, adding in another lovely combo of those bright pinks. Really like those zesty limes next to those pinks. And you might find you've got more of one shade in than you've got of another. It is just a lovely mix. These are almost like an apple green. And then you might find some which has got like a two-tone effect on it. So that's got kind of like a pink and a green on. So I'm just going to kind of sit and colour match my beads. As you can see, I'm not being overly, it's not taking too long, but it's a nice quick make, so you can afford to do that. I think I'm going to pop another bright pink colourway in round about there. Let's see how many got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17, 18, 19. Just have a little play around with them. I want about 29 beads on each one. Let's move those out of the way because I can add more as I go. So you can make this adjustable as well. You can make it longer, shorter, do whatever it is that you want to do in terms of your size, as long as it fits comfortably around the wrist. And then you can make extra loops if you want at the end, just so you can move that button along. So just pick up your beads and using your long eye needle. It's not going to go through now. I've folded it over. Let's see if we can do it without the large eye needle. Yeah. So I'm just going to thread those on. And I tend to do one side and then the other, but if you want to, you can pick them up as you go onto both sides. Sometimes just giving it a little twist can get it through that hole, but you should have fairly generous, I mean, I've not prepped my thread, probably should have done to stop it fraying, but if you cut it on a point, it should go on nice and easy. So I'm just going to work along, adding my beads. Should have added a little bit of clear nail varnish before I started. I think it'll probably be too late to do that now because it won't have time to dry. Morning, Judith. Yolanda's asking what size bead am I using. These are 6mm size beads. You can use any size bead you want. I think this is nice, a chunky look, but it's not, you know, too large on the wrist. But really it's more about the drill hole size in the bead when you're working like this, just to make sure you've got enough space to get the rattail through. And as you can see, I'm not using a needle on this, but I might do. Sometimes if you pull it through, it can break the hole in your large eye needle if it's a bit big. You might need a little bit of purchase just to pull the rattail thread through the bead on some. So it's just a straight stringing project, nothing technical, nothing too difficult. Not everyone's wishing you a happy birthday, Edward. I hope you had a lovely time. Lots of birthdays today. My nephew's birthday and one of my oldest friends' birthday today. So I hope you're all enjoying celebrating. And the weather's nice for you. Let's see how many beads we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Let's get some more pinks out. And then I'll go for those ones too. So I'm just kind of picking out a similar match. I want about 29 beads on each length. So just keep going with them, threading them on. Don't worry if the very tip of your rattail does fray a little bit, because you can trim that off at the end. I'm making quite a large size bracelet for me. But you can adjust that by just putting less beads on. Maybe if you want to keep that adjustability, just add those extra buttonholes at the end. So once I've threaded onto one side, I'm going to do the other and just keep an eye on what colours I'm putting on in what order so they match. Just swap my needle over. Really love the colours in these jade mixes. I do quite like dyed beads. I think there's no denying that these are dyed. You know, it's very rare you get these colours in nature on a natural jade. Going for that lovely apple green. So I'm using the woodpecker mix at the moment. So you can see it really does vary. Whereas if you were to get the aqua or the pinks, they tend to be either blues or pinks, just in a kind of different shades and tones, where these are different colours. So have a little look and you can see on the website all the different colours. They will work the same if you want to get the Rattail and just get an extra bag of the 6mm jade beads. I might get the odd one, which is the drill hole's a little smaller, so I just need a little bit of purchase. So I'm just pulling that large eye needle through occasionally with my pliers. I think there's a little blockage in that hole, so I'm just going to swap that out for a similar colour. So by doing one by one, you can kind of line them up and see that I've got a nice colour match. You can, of course, just put them on at random. You don't have to match colours and your tones. But you are getting plenty in your bag. I'll measure these out for you so you can see the size of the bracelet by adding this amount of beads on. So I've cut about 60 centimetres of the Rattail, which is about 24 inches, because I'd like a kind of like little tassel on the end of it. Oh, I haven't been watching my colours there. So I've got that deep apple green, and the lime green, and then finishing with that one. And I'm just going to push all my beads right up to the top of the knot under that button. So for this one here, if I can get my ruler, from the button to the buttonhole is about 20 centimetres, which works out to be about 8 inches in length. So this one will make an 8-inch bracelet. Of course, if you want to add the same amount of beads on, but give that extra length and adjustability, you can just tie an extra knot here. You can, of course, just loop your button through there, and that will open this out a little bit more. You don't have to have that knot there. and it will be held in place while it's around your wrist. But it is designed to fit the big heart clasp through the knot that we're going to make at the end. So it sits like that. So if you want to make that adjustable, you can just tie extra knots, a bit like we did the other week with the trellis necklaces. Okay, so I'm going to push all my beads up together. Rachel says, I always find semi-precious stones made into beads very tactile. They're lovely. They are really lovely. They're also faceted very slightly, so you can see there as the light hits them. Okay, I'm going to take my needle off for a little moment, and I'm just going to push all of those beads down together, so you can see that they're just sitting quite close up to that button. I've chopped them off, Camille, chopped off my nails. I feel like Samson. And all I'm going to do is do another overhand knot at the end with both of those threads together. And then before I close that up, I am just going to do a bit like a pearl knotting technique. So I'm going to take my pliers, or you can use tweezers if you prefer. I'm just holding up close to those beads so that knot can move until I take my pliers out. And then I'm just going to gently run my pliers down, so I'm keeping that knot close up to those beads. Then I'm going to fold over my bracelet just so I can get an idea of how large I want this next knot to be, because we want to make sure that we can get our clasp through there comfortably, so our big button. And obviously it's heart shaped, so it's wider on one side and will taper through to the end. So I think if we knot about here, I'll be able to get that through with ease. So I'm just going to line those threads up straight. And again, I'm just going to do another overhand knot, taking them through the middle and keeping in mind where I want that knot to be. I'm just going to pinch where I don't want it to move up, don't want it to travel any further. And then I'm just gently pulling on these two while tightening the knot with my fingers there. And then pulling on each one individually will give me that little space, moment of truth. If it's not quite right, you can always just open it up, no problem. I think that should be just fine. Don't want it too wide, but you will have that extra little space just to get that in. And then I just want to add some little finishing touches. So I'm just going to pick out another couple of beads. Should we go for the bright pinks to finish? Again, don't worry if these are a little bit frayed, because I can cut them off. So all I'm going to do is again add on my large eye needle and pop on my bead, and then I'm going to tie a little knot in the very tip of my thread. I'm going to pull that bead down. You can double knot if you need to. I'm just going to make sure that that knot isn't going to travel through the bead, because I don't want them to come off. I think one knot is sufficient for this bead, but if you wanted, you could double knot that. And then I'm just going to tie another knot with the bead on, and then travel the knot by just pulling the thread, so then that knot fits close to the other side of the bead, and that will stop the bead moving up and down. Again, with the next bead, I might need to put my large eye needle on for this. just got that thread coming back on itself, so it's almost doubled up. So that's why it's not quite going through. There you go. So I'm going to tie a little knot at the end, fairly close to the end of my thread. Check the bead won't come through, and by pushing that bead down, just tightens that knot up as well. And then I'm going to make another loop, pass the bead through the center, and then I'm going to pull gently just for that knot to move right nice and close to the bead. So it shouldn't move up and down. And then with my scissors, I'm just going to trim the little end off, making sure I'm not cutting the knot. You can as well, if you've got like a thread zapper, you could, if you want, just singe the end. But there you go, that is my bracelet ready to wear. So I will try and put it on. I'll open it up and do it properly. So to open it up, I'm just going to take it out of that loop. This is why you want to make sure your button has got that movement at the top, so you can swivel it round. It will be a little bit big for me. I would have it so my button faces the front, because I think it's a really pretty button. And that's it, really straightforward, really, really quick make. These are the Wendy Jade bracelets. So we have the colour of woodpecker, we've got the aqua, and we've also got this lovely pink. They are a bargain price today at just £3.99. You're getting loads of your beads. So if you wanted, you could add extras onto the ends of your tassels. We've also got a little offer on, so you can buy 3 for just £10. We ship worldwide, so if you wanted to change your currency, you absolutely could. I'll do my best to see if it's possible to show you all the different colours that we've got. Let's see if I stop sharing that. Aha. Okay. So these are the Rattail colours that we've got over on the website. If you click on that button on the top of the Wendy project, you'll see we have lots of different thicknesses of cord as well. I'm using the 0.6, so you can see you could get more of that baby blue one for this project. If you think actually I'd want it with the cream, you can do that. We've got really dark green as well in the same size, dark pink. We've got this lighter colour pink, which is what I'm using with the pink mix. We've got white, we've got all sorts there, so you can choose what colour Rattail you prefer. We've got thicker cords as well, which are 1mm. You will struggle to get that through the drill hole in these beads. Usually the largest size drill hole you tend to get is 1mm, and you might want to swap a bead. You might want to use the miracle beads, for example, that we've got on the website. They do tend to be a little bit wider in terms of the drill hole. If you go on to, let's see if I can stop sharing that one. If you click back onto the Wendy Live bracelets, there is an option for you to click on Jade beads as well. And just to show you all the different colours we've got here. So we've got the blueberries, we've got a coral sea, we've got grapevine, we've got Himalayan, we've got lavender field, I love the names of these, an ocean blue, a spring green, a tapestry. We've got lots. Again, these come in different sizes. You might want larger ones, you might want the 10 or the 12mm. I'm using the 6mm in size today. So you can, if you wanted to, choose a different coloured mix. We've got smaller as well. We've got the 4mm beads. So you could go a little bit more dainty. but you might want to mix that up. So you can see I'm using the pinks and the aquas today in the woodpecker, but we have lots of others. You might think I like blue nude, which has got those bubblegum pinks and teal colours in. You might want to go with the cream Rattail and go for those cream jades there. They're also 6mm in size. We've got pages and pages of these. You've got a lovely golden haze, a lovely green. We've got a mosaic, which is a real lovely mix. We've got moss green. We've got purple. We've got ruby red. There's the woodpecker that I've been using for the demonstration today. Oh, look at that bubblegum one. I do love the dyed jade beads. You've got purple moon, you've got forest green, ocean, raspberry. The list is endless. Have a little look. If you think you like the look of this design, then you can, of course, swap that over if you want to, if you want to add more into your kit. So I will stop sharing that screen and then I'll bring myself up. So let's see if there's any questions that I may have missed in the comments. Anastasia's saying happy birthday, many more to come. Yolanda asked what size beads I was using for these bracelets. I was using the 6mm size beads and the 0.6 Rattail. I've answered Heather, this size, using about 29 beads, makes about an 8-inch bracelet. But of course, if you wanted to cut a little bit along Rattail, you can just tie that knot slightly longer as well. So you've got the option of either adding more beads on, or if I had more Rattail, I'd just do the same. So I'd place my button in the neck section and I'd tie a little knot again, so you could make that adjustable that way. I have comments from Jan saying they're very pretty. Thank you so much. Lisa's saying hello. I would say materials plus time. Oh, somebody asked about how they sell their work. Anastasia said, Natalie, when you're selling these to customers, how do you price them? Same as a gemstone or semi-precious gemstone? So Heather's answered that in a good way. It very much varies. It's probably one of the most frequently asked questions and one of the hardest to answer questions, Anastasia, is how much do you sell your work for? First of all, it depends where you're selling. So if you were to be selling at maybe a school fair, like a summer fete, you need to think about your target audience. You want to keep your costs down low for something like that. If you were selling at more of an artisanal kind of market, or a posh jewelry shop, or you had a window in a stall or your website, it really does depend. So do look at what other people sell similar things for, because you don't want to price yourself out the market, but you also don't want to undercut yourself or anybody else. So a good rule of thumb is your materials plus your time. Some people do materials times 2. I tend to cost my materials. So if you've got your kit here, you could make one of these bracelets up, and what did we say? They were a whole £3.99, so £4. How long does it take you to make it? For me, I'd say you'd have these made in about 15 minutes, if that. So you might want to cost yourself an hourly rate. Of course, as you get quicker at making things, it's just what you feel comfortable at selling them for, to be honest. I don't think these are a very particularly costly make. Sometimes if I'm doing maybe a detailed wire wrapped piece, it might take me 4 hours to make, and I'm not going to ever charge someone all of the hours very often. I just look at it and think, well, how much would I be prepared to sell that for? How much would I be prepared to buy it for? That being said, if somebody thinks your work is too expensive, it might just not be within their budget. Doesn't mean that you need to put your costs down. So find a price that you're happy with. And don't forget, you can always lower your price. You can't increase it. And take into account material kind of replacement as well. So for me, if I'm making a sterling silver piece, I will charge for the cost of that metal at the time that I purchase it to make. It's very, very rare that your metal price, particularly sterling silver or even gold or whatever, is going to go down in price. It's only ever going to go up. So you can look at it as, am I going to cost to replace that at a different time? You may have bought something in a sale and therefore you might want to just cost it for what you paid for it. I'm very sorry, I beat it around the bush there. I can't say to you, charge this much for this. But whatever you do, never charge under the material cost. So if you've paid £4 for this, never charge it less. Never charge less than £4, because you need to make sure that you've got plenty to be able to keep yourself making. A good way of selling is just think, well, for me personally, I love making. I'm going to be making anyway. So if I can make a little bit of money back to cover the cost of my hobby, then that's what we do. But of course, if you are selling in shops, you have their profit that you need to take into account for. You've got licensing, insurance, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, difficult one. I didn't really answer, did I? I didn't ignore it, though. That's the main thing. Jan says they're very pretty. Lisa saying hello. Rachel says they're very pretty. Heather says so many choices. Lisa's going to watch back later. Camille says the yellows are nice. I knew you'd like them. Heather says the greens. She's a fan. I mean, there's loads of it. I would have spent hours making these if I'd have made them in every choice of colour that we had available. I just thought it might be nice for you to see how they look and then pick your own. So thank you to Simon for putting those links on there. Heather says great tutorial as always. Thank you very, very much. Hello to Phoenix. How are you doing? Judith's going to get some. She says she loves gemstone beads. And that's reflected in her stash. Same, yeah, I know. But I've got loads of pearls as well, to be honest. Mina says, I sell gemstone chip bracelets made with tiger tail for £6. It's a very good price, Mina. Linda's saying, thank you, very pretty. Heather agrees it's too difficult to cost. And she says she wants to keep everything I make. Well, yeah, no, I agree with you. There's a lot of times I make something and I think I'm keeping that for me. Phoenix says, I love making. I can't cost as that. My brain isn't wired for that way. Oh, thanks, Anastasia. I'm glad I've helped. I don't know whether I did or not, but that's just my sense on it. Ask me again in a couple of weeks, I might tell you different. Esther's in a sunny Preston. So I'm glad you've enjoyed the make today. It was a very quick one. I'm going to be back with you on Wednesday. We're making some earrings on Wednesday. They are probably the easiest earrings you'll ever make, but they are very, very pretty. I've got the most gorgeous beads. They're like half moon shapes. They're just twinkly, really, really twinkly. So I'll be playing with them if you want to come and join me on Wednesday. I hope you all have a very, very lovely week. Enjoy the sunshine while it lasts, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care, everyone.